Welcome to a new episode of Stumpy's Yogo Studio. I wanted to show you this first. This is a couple weekends ago. Me and my brother spent the Saturday getting his 1988 Monte Carlo SS back on the road. Nothing really wrong with the car. He had just parked in 2004, got married, had a family, and he's about to turn 40 this year, so he was kind of keen to get going. So we're not too much on, not too much on the car, but we did do new battery terminal cables because this is a Chevy side post, and those things always go quickly, and his were toast. New battery, and he did do new tires on it too. He did the BF Goodrich TAs, I believe, on it, and a few other things. Changed the oil, checked the coolant. It's got a bit of a sticky thermostat and a little bit of an exhaust leak, but nothing that's going to slow him down too much. He hopes to have it on the road this summer, and I'm going to continue helping him. You might see a little bit more of it on the channel, but for today, we just got it back and talking to us again. Well, this looks sounds nice, eh? They really cleaned up that exhaust leak, eh? Are you happy, Neil?
I'm happy, Angus. Real happy.
Oh, you can still hear it a little bit. But I think it goes away when it warms up. No, it's still running. Or maybe not. We gotta move it, then I can move my truck. And then you can put the car here. This week we're doing something a little different. We're back at the computer again. What you're seeing on your screen today is that I'm working. So that's the medallion of the front grille of the '64 New Yorker. And I took it off when I was at the property last week. Me and my brother were working on his car. And I wanted to bring it back because all these medallions are missing the insert that goes in here. And instead of trying to track one down, which I think would be very difficult and rather expensive, I decided I'm going to try to 3D print one. So I'm not an expert at this yet, but I am working with it a little bit. And what you're seeing on your screen is me working in Adobe AI, so Adobe Illustrator. So what I did is basically take the medallion, put it in our family scanner on top of our printer, and just take a really rudimentary scan of the item. You can see some of it's blurred out, but what I'm doing now with it in Adobe AI is that I'm taking basically a shape of what I need to do, and I just took half of it because you can flip it and you'll have a symmetrical shape. So right now I'm in Fusion 360. This is the CAD software, and there's a few other ones. There's SolidWorks and some other stuff, but this is the one I'm familiar with. I'm not saying it's the best, but it's the one I've gone the furthest with so far. This was my first cut at it, and I did a few, and I'll show you at the end. I've done a few renderings of this, and this is probably not incredibly dry for those who don't care, but so I recorded a lot of it, and I'm just showing you a little bit of it. But basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to get this to the origin. There's probably a better way to do this too, but you're watching me suffer, and I actually have gotten better at this now since shooting this video. So this is doubly hard for me to watch because I know how to get this thing home. But with starting with on the home axis, everything's a little more easier, I find, because you just have it's that much easier to get things to center and such. Now here, I believe I'm making a mistake here because I try to straighten the unit out. I kind of twist it here. And I think this has caused a lot of problems later where that top line wasn't exactly the line up the top side there. The outside line was not where it needed to be. But you'll see that I go through this. Again, I'm not an expert in this, but this is, I don't know, like this is one of the reasons I got the 3D printers, to basically use it to build parts that I don't have or you can't get anymore. And I thought this was a good place to start because it's such a small part. The only problem with this is that I've run into problems with it because it's such a small part that The printer that I have doesn't have that level of basically, well, it doesn't go down that small. Resolution doesn't have that level of resolution, but right now what I'm doing is trying to make a shape out of this, a sketch, and I'm not sure why. I guess I have to think about this, is why I couldn't use the actual sketch I imported as my sketch, but I'm remaking as a sketch locally. And I'm just trying to take the lines and get a sketch, and then from there we can start building solid objects. So this crown, and well, you can play a drinking game to see how many times I say basically. But this crest, if you will, has 3 crowns, and I guess the time Chrysler had some 3 crown theme going on, and the New Yorker has it also. I haven't researched why, but and then there's color. The crowns are gold, and then there's 3 brackets that break everything up. They're silver, and the backing's red. I've printed a bunch of these now, as you'll see in a minute. So that's the old version of it. I printed half of it. I'm just trying to get rid of it now. Yeah, so there's 3 crowns and 3 brackets. So what I did is I did this once, didn't like the print, thought it was too fat at the bottom, and now I'm reprinting a new backing for it. So trying to import the backing. There's the backing that I just drew. Now we kind of have to move it to where it needs to be. And as you can see along the left-hand side, you have basically all these different structures in your tree. So you have a hierarchy, and as you build things, they get added to your hierarchy. So I haven't really figured out, but I like the aspect that everything you build could be a new body, and you can. And the nice thing about the printer is it's kind of what you see is what you get. Whatever's on the screen, and you render into the STL files what it prints, or what it creates for a print file. So right now, because of the height of this thing, I'm just kind of moving everything up. The brackets, yeah, there you go. So you see how this is going to work here, is that the bracket's going to sit in behind it. And yeah. So there we got our new bracket, or our new backing. So I ended up printing one of these like this. I think I printed 3 of them like this, and I'll show you at the end how it turned out. Here I'm trying to move what I just drew to Altmaker Cura. This is the program that is used to build the rendering for the print on the printer. This is a rendering of my printer. I have a Anycube Mega Zero printer. It's kind of an entry-level printer. I'm hoping to get a better one this year, but right now this is what I need. So you'll notice when it renders into the printer, it renders out of scale. I was doing this out of scale and then bringing it down to size because I wasn't entirely sure of the scale, so I was working way larger than I could. That way when I got to this level, I could scale it to what I want. I printed a bunch of prints, I'll show you later, that were just different scales, 151, 152, 153, 154, I believe, millimeters tall. And I think I went with 152. I might go a little bigger than that. I might try a couple prints at 152.5. So this is just the best way. So you can see I put those studs on the side of it that I'd break off later, because when I was trying to get it off the printer, I kept breaking because it's such a thin piece. It would break up. So this was not the way I ended up printing it. I ended up printing it pointed straight up like a spear. It seemed to be the print best, but I printed it flat once. I printed it in half. I have a lot of prints here. I'm looking at a table full of prints that I'll show you in a bit, but this is just showing. So this is basically a rendering of the print bed, and then you down in the right hand corner you see slice, and you basically give it the commands how you want it to print, what kind of bed you want, what kind of heat you want, and all the tools. There's a bunch of default factors that go into what material. I'm using PLA, so there's certain things you have to do. So this is when you hit slice. So now it's so this is selected parameters, speed, travel, supports. So if it's on your print bed, it'll decide what it needs to support it so it can print. So it's not printing in midair. So it'll build up to what it's printing. The adhesion to the build plate, depending on what you're building, you want kind of different. There's a raft, there's trim, there's a few other things. And then you hit slice, and it basically creates a print for the printer. You can save it to a removable disk and bring that disk over to the printer, and off to the races, like you'll see right here. This is my printer, This is going very, very quickly. I think it's this would take an even probably. Well, these things don't take an even. These prints were taking about 4 hours, so you're not going to watch 4 hours of the printer here. You're just going to watch a few minutes of it. But I'll let you sit and enjoy.
What are you doing? Be silent. Continue ahead.
You stay here in the car. You'll be safe. He's after me, not you.
He must have slipped off that way. Come on.
Stay under cover.
Betty, thank the Lord you're safe. I just came from Alice's. There was a skeleton in the pool.
Alice? Oh, no.
So I just wanted to go through these. This is what we started with here. This got pulled off of the two-door New Yorker front clip, and it just bolts on with 4 of these. So originally I just stuck this in the scanner over there, face down, and got the lid on as best we could, and that's where that first image came from. This is kind of what we started with. This is the first one you saw me draw, and I'll show you here. So I wasn't really impressed with the fit, so it kind of, this is why we redid it, because this area here was really bad and just too flat. You see how it's got that arc in there, and it's just too flat. So we kind of stopped doing the full cuts, and I kind of moved over doing these half cuts, like this one here and this one, and I just did a whole print of just half cuts. And this is not the right red, but this is what I was doing. So I just did I think this one was a half cut here. And again, like just way too big, eh? Like just. So I figured this is from here. I think it was here to here. It's 152 millimeters, or 152 millimeters. Not sure that's right, but that's the number I went by. It might be that number. I think it's that number to that number. 152 millimeters. And yeah, this one wasn't even close. And then we did this one here. Again, I think I did this, so I did a 154, a 152, and a 151, or 151, I think. So we ended up with the 152. So this is pretty close right here. And then, again, this is the 152, no, this is the 153, and see, it's just a little too big. The nice thing about doing it in a bigger size and then cutting it down, or just doing it at the cure level, scaling it to what you need, because then you have more detail and you can just kind of scale as you print. So again, I think this was a 152, but this has ended up, and what else I figured out is I didn't have this flipped out enough. That's why by the end I start turning them out a bit, kind of get that angle where it kind of goes that way a bit. This is starting to get better. This is a really bad print. I printed this one flat, and it just didn't work. That's the other one. Like I printed these. I printed this guy, I believe, like this. And here's one here. And this got pretty close to the end, but this one I believe I printed this one like this. These were printed kind of like this, all next to each other. And then this one's printed flat, and it just didn't turn out at all. I just think this is not thick enough to do anything with, so you get this really bad print. But this was the right size. Started really liking the size, but I noticed like this is when I decided to turn it out a bit. So because I was missing, I got the angle at the bottom right, but I was missing up here. So onto the pile with that one. And then I got to this one here, and again this area at the top. So, and then this one just didn't print at all. So a lot of time, because these all take at least I think 3-4 hours to print. And this is where I started getting happy. I realized real quickly that I'm not going to be able to do it like this. I want to do the crowns as an insert. And just with this bottom bracket here, it's going to be too small. So I'm going to do these as separate prints. This will be a print, 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 that'll be a print, and that'll be a print. That way I can print them all in their colors, or lack of their colors, and then just glue it all together, and then the epoxy the whole thing, and then sand it. So it'll have that kind of closed in look. So I like the depth, I like the angle. I didn't like this, and we finally got to this guy. And I broke it up because I was playing around with it, but this is kind of where we got to, and I'm really happy with this one. The little things like these cuts in the middle, and then of course the crowns won't be on it. So again, we got a little bit of gappage around it, and I don't think that gappage is there when it's fully there, but this is kind of my final print on that, and now I'm just waiting on the right colors. But yeah, this is everything we went through to kind of get to the point where we got something I can live with. So that's the pile of badness. But in the end, we got to something, and the other thing was getting this angle right. So this is the closest I feel like, if you look here, covering this indent here. So that's where we got to, and I just now have to go over the right colors, and then we go through the process of epoxying this. Nice thing is when we're done, I can print as many of these as I want, and then I can have them on file. I can put them out to the world, and people can have them, because this is just not available. Not anywhere I've found. I think probably there's maybe a guy out there who's building them by hand, but I'd rather do it myself at a certain level, and then I got control over it. And I don't want it to be absolutely perfect, but I want it to be something to be there. I think on one car, somebody just painted the inside red, and I don't know how many of these are still in the wild, because I think a lot of them just fell out going down the road. So they're probably along highways somewhere. So yeah, that's where we got to. Just want to talk a little bit about the project and how it exists now. So this is me and the tool again, and this is where I've gotten to with it. This is the rendering I like. It's not perfect, and I can move things around a bit, but I can print. So I'm going to print this. I was going to print it with openings for the crowns and openings for the brackets, but I'm going to print it piled on top of each other. So I'm going to print the backing as one, the brackets is another one, and the crowns is another one. So if I can just show you how the tool's set up now. You can see on the left-hand side there, I got the hierarchy and everything named correctly now that I really know what I'm looking at any given time and what I'm editing. Everything has its own name bracket, top lines, crown middle, crown left, crown right. And see, if I click on them, I can make them disappear. Obviously, I had a problem with that one, but yeah. So you can kind of see I can work in different areas of the tool. I like having it on the left and the right. That way, if I change something on one side, I just delete the other side and copy and flip it from what I fixed. That way you're not doing things twice and trying to fit something to what you've done already. But yeah, every part of this is a different part of the hierarchy, and altogether. Like right now, if I did a rendering, an STL file of that entire thing, it would print just like that. Probably one color because I only have one extrusion. But as I make stuff disappear, it's what you see is what you get. So if I right now, if I decided to do an STL of that, that's what I would get. I would get all these things. So we're going to do one print as the backing, one print as the brackets, and one print as the crown. And I'm pretty happy. Like those colors are obviously a rendering. But I do have the PLA colors I picked out because I don't like the colors I have now. That red is just too cartoony red, and I have a yellow, but it's a yellow. And I thought to myself, you know what? I bet you there are some colors closer to this. Now you can see, like, yeah, I can print just that. I can print just that. I can print just that. So what I'll end up doing is just printing those three together. And then, yeah. What's this guy doing? Yeah. So I can print just that if I wanted to. And that's an option too. I could print it just like that and just tape off the backing and paint the colors I want. Just spray them. So that's an option too. Yeah, you can print just the backing. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll print just the backing, and then just the brackets and just the crowns. And then glue everything together. And then the whole thing will be in an epoxy. And then I'll sand the epoxy so it's like glass. So you'll see it through the epoxy. I am a little worried about the thickness of this thing. I might have to cut down on that, but now I have that. So see, this colors I'm going for. This is the gold I like. Right there, that's the gold I like. And I think I'm going to go clear. Part of me wants to go clear for the bracket lines. Yeah. I'm a little worried about the red showing through the back, but I don't know. It'll be close. Maybe clear on a white or a silver. But that's the only one I'm not clear on. And then like a dark Roman red like this for the red. And at that point, I think I have the correct colors. I just don't have those yet, so I'll have to do a print when I have the colors. But I'm pretty happy where I've got the rendering too. So I just wanted to I know this is a little bit of a different episode, but I wanted to walk you through that this week. And I appreciate you watching. And remember, Stumpy loves you.